Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Today is September 22nd, and this is another of our bi-weekly SIG CLI calls. My name is Maciej, and I'll be your host today. Our agenda is pretty much packed with topics, but also announcements, although one is still secret for one tiny little more moments. Most importantly, we are having KubeCon in a couple more weeks. I can't remember because I always forget to check when it is, whether that's second or third week of October. But most importantly, we will be having a SIG CLI update here in KubeCon. I've linked the session in the agenda. You can feel free to add it to your sched. And additionally, if I remember correctly, Katrina will be there in person and we'll be doing meet and greet. So if you're there, feel free to say hello. And now the most important announcements is we are changing leadership. That means we will be welcoming a new SIG CLI lead and technical chair, and that will be Katrina. Katrina did an amazing job with Customize over the past couple of months. She joined, was mentored by both Eddie and Philip, did an amazing job structurizing Customize meetings. She set up Customize blocker scrub that we're doing monthly and is doing an amazing job supporting myself, Eddie, and Sean with the SIG leadership roles, which basically is it's about time for her to pick up the chair role and the technical lead role. At the same time, Phil is deciding to step down entirely from SIG CLI. He has been one of the person that set up SIG CLI years ago, and over the past couple of years, while mentoring Katrina, he was providing the technical guidance by being technical leader. So he will be resigning from that one along this. And finally, I'll be stepping down as a chair, similarly to Phil, but this time I'll be chair for the next 3 months. I'll make sure to pass all the proper tooling and whatever tricks that are needed to run these meetings over to Eddie, Sean, and Katrina. I've been chair for almost 4 years. I thought that there was 3, but it was actually 4. I dig it up just before this call. I stepped in February 2018. So at the end of this year, I'll step down as a chair, but I'll continue serving as a technical leader for some more time, especially that SIG CLI is still dear to my heart. So those are the big announcements. I'll be sending appropriate emails to both KubeDev and SIG CLI right after this call. Big congratulations to Katrina, and thank you very much to Phil for all the support and help and technical guidance that he has been driving us through the years. So
thanks, Maciej.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I'm honored and delighted to serve the community in these roles, and I look forward to working with everyone even more closely in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're very excited to have Katrina on officially, and thank you, Maciej, for leading and defining what the opening of our meetings looks like for years to come. So I have used it in many other places since. So thank you, and Phil too, for his technical leadership and founding. And I didn't know this, but Phil was actually on steering at one point. So
yeah, if I remember correctly, Phil was on steering pretty much around the time when I stepped into SIG CLI to help him, because he was a little bit overwhelmed. He after Fabiano left, for his extended PTO, Phil was, I think, left the only person running SIG CLI, and at the same time, he was also appointed for steering. So he was doing both, and that's why he reached out to me, and that's how the entire story happened since then. A lot has changed in SIG CLI over the past 4 years. We still have big plans for sure. So, and I'll be around to help guide the technical side of the things, and I'll let someone else handle the organizational side of things this time. Okay, moving on to introductions. Do we have anyone that is new to this call that would like to introduce themselves? Say a few words, what they are expecting, what they want to work on, or basically anything, or just say hi. I assume everyone were already on the call, so okay. Let's move on to the main topics. Menji, you're up first. Do you want to share your screen? Also, welcome back after a pretty long time that I'd seen you last time.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I can share screen, I guess.
Okay, let me make you a co-host, and I'll stop sharing. You should now be able to share your screen.
Okay. So can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we are seeing cap 2985.
Oh, okay, cool. Hello everyone. So my name is Mengqi. So I'm working for Google. So I have been working on the Kubernetes project for different various projects for years. In case someone doesn't know me, so I have been working on kubectl, apply, customize, and the kubebuilder and other stuff. Okay, so I'm proposing this CAP, which is about creating a new public KRM function registry. So it can help the KRM communities to contribute and discover useful KRM functions. So the motivation behind this, we are seeing more and more interest and in using KRM function as the configuration management. So as Google, we have created a KRM function registry for mostly for Google authored functions, and we want to have a similar thing for the community, and then we can potentially like contribute some of our generic functions there. Currently, there's a problem. There's an issue that not everyone in the communities can contribute to a Google-owned project. So that's the motivation behind these ideas. And then I can dive a little deeper into the proposal. So the proposal is to have a two component. So one is a repos owned by CNCF and sponsored by the SIG CLI. So this repo is used to host the index for the KRM functions in the registry. And there's also going to have a website. So the website going to present the dog examples to the end users for like discoverabilities. And then I want to quickly talk about how, the potential model for managed registry. So one way is that we have centralized index and the centralized release management. So that means so everything including source code, doc, and the release all happens in one repo. So this is what we are using in CAP function catalog at Google. And of course, there are some pros and cons for this method. And there's another management model, which is we have a centralized index, but we have a distributed release management. So this model is similar to what we are currently does for crew index. So which is the plugins are built separately from the repo. The repo is just hosting the metadata for these plugins. And then, so for SIG CLI, we can actually mix these two models together. For the SIG CLI on the KRM functions, for example, customize want to build and distribute some KRM functions, we can actually do it in tree. And for others functions from the communities, we can manage the source code out of tree and have the index, have the metadata in the as index in the repo. So when we have the source code out of trees, then of course we want to think about security and the trust. So then we introduce a concept called publishers. So a publisher can be a Kubernetes project or communities or companies. So when a contributor want to publish functions, they can choose to publish on behalf of a publisher. So for example, Katrina's can publish a public KRM function for customized community, and like for another contributor can publish functions, for example, for Google, like that. And we want to enforce several rules to ensure that it is published by the right person. So we can enforce the owner's approval and also a verified commit from the right person. And then also, so the publishers is responsible for the security for their KRM functions. SIG CLI is not. So this is a little similar like crew plugins. And then we can talk about the trust. So a user should not by default trust every KRM function in the registry, but a user can trust some certain publisher. For example, if I'm a user, I can choose to trust the KRM functions published by Customize. Then let's talk about the user stories. So I imagine we can have a website probably like using this URL, and the users then can browse this website to discover their KRM function they want to use. And then also a user can query the website to get a collections of KRM functions as a catalog. For example, they can do something like this. They use publisher equals customize, and then they can use it in the customization file and specify it as a catalog. So I think that's pretty much what I want to cover. So are there any questions?
I'll let other folks to ask questions before I'll state mine.
Just for the sake of the recording and some folks that might not be aware, could you give a quick overview of what a KRM function actually is and why we need a registry for it?
Oh, sure. Let me open this. So in a customized repo, we have a function spec. So a KRM function is that, so it takes a list of resources called resource list. Okay, here is an example. So it takes a resource list, which it can contain a list of KRM resources, and then KRM functions can manipulate these resources or validate the resources. It can be used to like do some customizations on your configurations resources. For example, I can do like set labels on some certain resources using functions.
This is a standard for implementing YAML transformations, and it's shared by Customize extensions and kept.
Yes. So it can also like using the result to generate views that can be potentially consumed by some other tools. So yeah, this is adopted by Customize, Cap, and some other tools. Does it answer your question, Eddie?
It does, thank you.
Cool.
So I had a question about, I think towards the end, as one of the user story, you did mention that it is possible to pick a different link for a catalog. Does it mean that a user of Customize can pick which registry it can consume data from. This is basically something similar to Crew has, because before Crew was only using a single catalog, meaning the one that we maintain in Crew index, and there was no option for users to specify their own. So by default, we always assume that you're gonna trust the upstream index. And we've heard different opinions that users would want to be able to customize that index, and for example, created their own curated index for Crew plugins. So for example, Google would have their own index that would be shipped as a default with a G Cloud. Red Hat had its own that will be configured and shipped with OpenShift. Similarly, Amazon could have its own and ship with EKS and so forth. You could always add their additional indexes, but the default wouldn't have to be the upstream, which you might think as an insecure or similarly. Whereas the curated registry could be either company approved, and some additional security checks might have been performed on those internal repos. Is the catalogs something along those lines?
I could speak to that because it's about catalog more so than the registry, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Catalog is actually proposed in a different KEP, one of the two that I brought to the last meeting. So it touches on more of the answers to those questions, I would say. But one of the ideas that is baked into that is along the lines of what you said, where we do like the idea of having customized, like if we build, as in the proposal we're looking at the moment, an official registry, having a very small set of plugins that are essentially things that Kustomize would like to provide as built-ins by default, but for technical reasons are not really suitable for being built in. And those would act as though they were built-ins essentially, because Kustomize would be compiled in a way that trusts those, but it would be a fairly small set. And then there would be a secondary registry that would be organized by publisher, as in this proposal. And it wouldn't have to be with a filter like this. I do have some feedback for the KEP that I'll provide on the PR. But I think it's a very nice model that it's basically an index, and we can build and provide different permutations of that very easily if we have all the metadata to do that. Like we'd auto-generate all the different catalogs, one for each publisher, one for level of support, one for customized built-in, etc. Since we're driving it all off very explicit metadata, I think this is super powerful. And this jives very well with the other KEP, I should say.
Yeah, as long as this follows what we set up in the Crew index, I think I'm okay with that, because we did have several iteration on the Crew index, and this one is definitely reusing a lot of the concepts. So I don't have any objections personally. Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much, Wengi and Katrina, for explaining this to us.
Thank you.
Okie doke. The next topic is Brian. PR to add override type flag.
So last meeting we talked about there was an issue where somebody was trying to do kubectl run with an override that set the limit, and they weren't able to do that without replacing the entire spec. So we talked about creating a way to say what type of override you want to perform. So excuse me, instead of like a JSON, instead of doing a total merge, we talked about doing like an RFC 6902 JSON patch, which gives you the ability to say specific operations, like I just want to add a limit to the resource node in the YAML, for example. Or I also added in this PR the ability to do a strategic merge patch. So I kind of modeled it off of the types that are available in kubectl patch. And then when I was looking at this, I also noticed kubectl expose also has the same override capability. So so I made it so I did a little bit of refactoring so it could share the same override code between run and expose. So mainly, I mean, I just wanted to call out this PR and get some eyes on it and feedback on this. So,
Hey, you made fast work on that one. Thanks, Brian.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. If I remember correctly, expose does use all of the primitives from run, including all the generators that we got rid of in the past. So good catch on fixing also expose in parallel with run. Does anyone have any questions? I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe you weren't here last time when we talked about it, or during bug scrub. I think that was during bug scrub when we talked about it last time. Yeah, last Wednesday. Or actually, yeah,
It was the 8th, but we may have
Yeah.
talked about it on Bug Scrub too.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, just going through agenda, I see that it was discussed 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, definitely. We just need someone to review that, and I think it's pretty safe to say that it's a very good approach.
Yeah, I'll tag the original issue opener on it and ask them to play with it too and give thoughts.
Yes,
Thanks.
please. That's a good idea. Okay. I think with that, we reached the end of our topics. Does anyone have any ad hoc topics that they want to bring with the group? Okay, hearing none. In that case, we can move over to stand-ups. Do we have any stand-ups? Nick from Kui?
Not too much to share this week.
Okay.
We're midstream.
Okay. Katrina, with regards to customize?
I guess a quick update that with regards to KubeCon talks, Jeff and I have been hard at work on ours. We're doing a presentation on customized extensions, so also kind of related to the topic we were discussing earlier. And we're going to be doing a bunch of doc updates ahead of that too. So it's something to look forward to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Natasha is also here. Natasha, if you want to talk about your work.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add. Thanks.
Okay, I think that's pretty much all. I don't see anyone from crew to give us an update on that one. So with that, I think we can call it a day. So thank you very much all, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, team.
Bye.